Welcome to Married to History, where we try to be informative, entertaining, and family-friendly.
Aloha, I'm Christopher. I have a fancy piece of paper on my wall that says that I know more about history than most people do.
I'm Shirley. I'm a homeschool mom that relies on good curriculum, Christopher, and West Side Story to teach our kids history.
Before we get into our episode, let's take a minute to talk about something from a past episode. It's important to keep in mind that Shirley doesn't warn me ahead of time about which musical she's going to use as her legitimacy in life.
It's fun for me to see what he knows right off the top of his head, and that means sometimes we miss things. If you would like to hear a more comprehensive and well-prepared episode on any topic, just let us know. Honey, did you have anything to share with us today?
Did I?
No, I don't know. We didn't talk about this before.
I have lots of things to share, but we should probably answer your question before.
Yes.
I mean, if you ask me to start sharing things that I think are cool to share, I'm going to start somewhere around 4000 BC, and I think we'll probably get out of here by the time our kids have retired.
Yeah, nobody wants that. Okay,
That hurts. That may be the most hurtful thing you've ever said to me.
Pretty impressive, actually.
Isn't the whole reason that you wanted to do this in the beginning was because you wanted to listen to my golden voice teach you awesome things about history?
I suppose so. Okay, I had just one correction here, and it was a personal, I felt bad.
I didn't know you were capable of feeling bad.
Way back when we talked about the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire, I was very, very disappointed in myself that I didn't take the opportunity to make a T-shirt joke. It's the Triangle Shirtwaist. They made T-shirts.
So to be clear, you're upset with yourself for not making a joke about a great tragedy in which many women died horribly.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. For those of you who can't see us right now, I'm getting just a little bit
Staring
of greater
down.
distance away from this person across from me.
Okay, and also, I don't know if anyone else can hear it, but I hear it. My voice is really bad right now because I'm getting over a sore throat, and this morning I thought I had lost my voice entirely.
You sure it's not the Rona?
It's not the Rona. We took tests. It's not. It's just a sore throat. I don't even have a fever.
Okay.
So, I'm fine. I just sound funny, but that's okay.
There goes 2 weeks off of work for me. Thanks a lot.
I'm so sorry. I will get the Rona next time, I promise.
If you loved me, you would get the Rona.
I know. All right, honey, I have a history question for you.
I love history questions.
So why couldn't Custer stand anymore? Did he lose a leg in battle? Or was it just like he got old and he needed to use a wheelchair?
I love you. You know I love you, right?
But
Give me strength.
you're being so mean about my question.
I apologize. I sometimes forget that you are doing this to have fun for yourself, not to...
Not to what?
I'm not going to... Yeah. All right, so I believe you are referring to Custer's Last Stand.
Indeed I am.
Also known, and in my opinion, more appropriately known as the Battle of Little Bighorn.
Wait, how can it be a little and a bighorn at the same time?
You've obviously not paid attention when we've talked about Gettysburg and
No,
Little
I
Round
haven't.
Top.
Little Round
sorry.
Top makes more sense.
That's
because that's not contradictory.
There was Big Round Top and Little Round Top. Yeah, okay, that was a bad example. Okay,
Yeah.
well, yes. So there is a battle at a place known as Little Bighorn. How it got that name, I'll admit, I don't know.
Was there a big bighorn?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. So, at the Battle of Little Bighorn, which is occasionally referred to as Custer's Last Stand. So, okay, first off, I want to be clear. The reason why I say it's appropriately called the Battle of Little Bighorn is because in at least most of the history that I have read about, studied about, in fact, everything that is going through my mind right now, we have never named a battle after the guy who lost it.
Well, okay, so maybe
I
the
could
battle...
be wrong about that, but I am hard-pressed to think of any other time where we've ever named a battle after the guy who lost. And some people have made the argument that in calling it Custer's Last Stand instead of the Battle of Little Bighorn, one is taking away credit from the actual victors of that battle.
Right.
Who were the Native Americans. I believe particularly the Sioux. I might be getting the tribe wrong, but I believe they were Sioux. So yes, the Custer's Last Stand, or the Battle of Little Bighorn, is the battle in which Lieutenant Colonel, I believe he was at the time, Custer, is killed in action. If I remember correctly, he has about 200 or so cavalry troopers with him, and he attacks a Native American village that has a population of, I believe, somewhere between 2 to 4,000.
Dang. Okay, so a couple things before you go on. You're correct. It doesn't make sense to name a battle after the guy who lost, but it makes sense if you were like writing a biography about Custer, you could call it Custer's Last Stand in that context.
Okay, so I would be cool with that. I would be cool with, like, say, naming a chapter or maybe even the whole book after
Yeah.
it. But for it to be recorded in history like that just seems wrong to me.
That is weird.
We don't call Appomattox Courthouse Lee's Last Stand. We don't call
Lee's. No, it should be like Lee's embarrassment.
We don't call the Battle of Yorktown Cornwallis's Last Stand, though that would be bad anyway because Cornwallis went on and had a very surprisingly good career.
Well, no, so it wouldn't be his last stand, but it could be Cornwallis's defeat, or I don't know.
We don't call Waterloo Napoleon's Last Stand.
Maybe we should. Although that wouldn't fit as well in the ABBA song, so we'll leave it at Waterloo. All right, my other point before you go on is, so he died at his last stand?
Yes, he gets killed in battle.
That is worse than losing a couple legs and having to sit down the rest of your life.
I could be wrong, and I don't. Since I've never had the experience, I don't know how to speak to it. But I would imagine, like, for me, who is a dancer and a gamer at heart, I think I would, on a long-term scale, I think I might be at least tempted by the idea of I would rather have just died and gotten it all over with than go through the rest of my life not being able to play video games or dancing.
You could play video games if you can't stand.
I'm sorry, I thought we were talking about he lost arms too or something.
Oh, no. I only said legs.
Okay, so I wouldn't be able to, well, then if I could have my arms, I'd still be able to get with video games. So yeah, I'd be okay.
Yeah.
But I would be sad that I would never get to dance again.
Yeah, well, you could, but you'd have to be more creative and get mobility aids, and people do it.
Well,
don't be so defeatist.
Like I said, I've never had the experience, so I can't say for sure.
Yeah.
If there are other people I know other people do this and that are happy with their lives or manage to lead happy, productive lives
not
despite
ideal.
having their legs. So I'm not saying that those people are weird or anything of that nature. No, good on them. Because I don't know what it's like, I can't honestly speak to it. I can only use my imagination.
Right. So tell me again, how many troops did Custer have with him at Little Bighorn?
I believe he had somewhere around 200. Might have had a bit more, but I don't think he had it. It was very small. I don't think he had as many as 300. So
and how many Native Americans were in the village?
I've heard different rumors for the population, but the average amounts that I believe I've heard are somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,000. I've never heard anything greater than 4,000.
Dang. So did he know that he was going into such an uneven battle?
So here's one of the things where I think a lot of historians disagree, and I do not know if the disagreements are because we don't have enough evidence to support a lot of the theories that have come out, or if there's just such a preponderance of evidence to support multiple possibilities. So I don't know which one it is in this case. So to boil this down, so Custer is pursuing a Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse. These are the two famous Native Americans, or arguably the most famous Native Americans that are in the village at the time. Oh, actually, I'm going to have to take that back. Crazy Horse might not have been there at the time. I don't remember if Crazy Horse was there, but he was with this group, at least for some point at the time.
But definitely Sitting Bull?
But yeah, Sitting Bull was the leader of the tribe. So they are, if I'm remembering the history correctly, Sitting Bull and his people are running away. They're trying to get far away from the Americans because they know that the army is coming to get them.
Yeah.
Custer is the one who is going to get them. And Custer... Up until that point, Custer had managed through some of his dealings to actually become pretty well liked or admired by a decent amount of Native Americans.
Why?
I don't remember. I know that at least for a time he did some things or had some policies where they at least liked him more than they liked some of the other army guys that have been put in charge of dealing with Native Americans.
Okay.
It's been a long time since I did any in-depth reading or studying on him. That's why I don't remember what it was. But I do seem to recall that there was at least a substantial number of people that did admire him or like him of some kind.
Okay.
One of the things that I remember for this is that after the battle is over, the Braves are going around to all the dead American soldiers to collect their scalps and trophies and whatnot. And if I remember correctly, we have accounts that say that at least 2 Native American women, recognizing Custer, threw themselves on top of his body to prevent the braves from coming along and collecting his scalp.
No way. That seems like an American myth to like, look, like we're trying to celebrate our hero after death.
That might be possible, but this is just what I'm remembering from the last time I actually did any in-depth study of him.
Okay.
So if I remember correctly, the warrior, they do still take a trophy. I think the warrior takes off his hand, or might have just been a finger. Maybe something smaller. But anyway, he's not scalped. At least to the best of my knowledge, he does not get scalped. Okay. Custer is pursuing the Indians. So he takes a very small force. Now, here's one of the things where I do not remember entirely what happens. Either Custer had a larger force, but he divided it up because they had to go off in different directions to look for the natives, because there's a lot of territory out there to cover, and they don't know exactly where the Native Americans are.
Right.
Another one is that, no, he was just an arrogant cuss, which is understandable, given what a lot of things that we know about his character. Mm-hmm. And so he just took a small army, but he thought it was going to be enough for his needs.
Okay.
So at the battle, he decides to divide his force in two. One half of his army is going to attack the village head on.
So like only 100 men.
Yes, it's going to attack them head on to draw the warriors away to this side of the camp. And then his plan is to take the rest of his men, and they're going to ride around to the far side and attack from behind. If I remember correctly, there was a third group. So I think outside of his 211, there was a third group that was supposed to show up for this fight. But for reasons I don't remember, they didn't show up. Either they were marching slower than they were supposed to, or they went the wrong way, or they got lost or something. I don't remember what it was. There was supposed to be another group of soldiers that were supposed to be there, but they did not show up, and I don't remember what the reason was.
Okay.
So, if I remember correctly, the most realistic of the accounts that I remember reading suggests that Custer misjudged the size of the village, and instead of him riding all the way around to the far side and attacking from behind, he rode right into the middle of it and found himself and his men surrounded. I don't remember how long the fighting lasted, but it wasn't an exceptionally long battle. Again, there was only 200 or so of his people.
Right.
They were all of them slaughtered to a man. I don't believe there were any survivors. I believe his brother was there also. His brother was one of the soldiers under his command, and his brother, I believe, along with everybody else, perished. I don't think there were any survivors. If I'm wrong, I would love for somebody to point that out to me, but I'm pretty sure, all of his men were killed.
I'm not surprised.
So it was called Custer's Last Stand because of Custer's great popularity back in the Americans and whatnot. And arguably one of the reasons why they decided to call it Custer's Last Stand was so that they could put the focus on, this is where Custer was to all those Americans back home, instead of admitting directly that Native Americans just killed American soldiers.
Right. You create a martyr. Like, don't let anyone forget, this was our guy. Mm-hmm. And he was killed by those people that are our enemies. Mm-hmm. I get it. It's good propaganda.
So, if I remember correctly, Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse already had bounties on their heads. But after the Battle of Little Bighorn, those bounties increase. I don't remember what happens to Sitting Bull. I don't think they ever catch him. I don't remember what his fate is. But Crazy Horse, I know they eventually do capture and kill him.
Wow. Okay, I need you to pause for a second. First of all, so Wikipedia tells me that, yes, it's a Little Bighorn, but it could also be called, and this is the term that the Native Americans prefer, they call it the Battle of the Greasy Grass. Yeah, the Battle of the Greasy Grass.
I've never heard that name before.
Grass. Yeah, that's from the Plains Indians. And so it was against the Lakota, Northern Cheyenne, and Arapaho.
Oh, so not the Sioux.
Well, isn't Lakota
Lakota's
part of
a
the
Sioux tribe, yeah, I thought.
Yeah, I'm not knowledgeable enough about that. Yeah. But okay, so I feel like this is probably one of those instances where you said it and I wasn't paying attention. So we got to slow down.
Everything for the last 20 years.
Everything. Okay. So time period was this post-Civil War?
Yeah, no, this was post. Sorry, yes, this was after the Civil War.
Okay, and what was his rank at this point? Custer's rank?
I believe his rank was lieutenant colonel.
Okay, because we had mentioned his rank had changed.
Yeah,
and we had our Civil War
gotten a temporary promotion, or I've forgotten the
term.
Like
a field promotion.
like a provost promotion, or there's a term for it that all of a sudden I'm forgetting.
Yeah.
Often enough, ranks that are given out during times of
Right.
war are not always kept after the war
Mm-hmm.
ends, because after the war's over, you don't need 100,000 generals anymore. You can get by with
Right.
5 or 6 of them. So
Right.
yeah, and if I remember correctly, his whole getting up to general was like a mistake in the filing of the paperwork or something to that nature. So yeah, he got busted all the way back down to lieutenant colonel.
Not even a full colonel.
In fact, I think he got busted down even lower than that after the Civil War was over, but he managed to work
Ooh.
his way back up to lieutenant colonel
Okay.
before he died. But yes, I believe he held the official rank of lieutenant colonel when he died.
Okay. Now, sorry, and this is the part where I think you probably said this and I wasn't paying attention. Why was Custer going after Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse in this village?
Okay, so I don't think he was specifically going after Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse. I think he was specifically going after the village.
Okay.
And I'll admit, I do not remember what the reasoning was for this particular time, but odds are it was one of several. Either one, these people were supposed to go to a reservation, and Custer was there to make sure that they went to the reservation that the Americans wanted them to go to, instead of them fleeing into Canada for refuge, or maybe just moving farther west or farther
Wait.
north.
Why would we care if they fled to Canada? Wasn't the whole goal of America to just get them off this land? So why do we care where they go?
That is a good question. I do not know what our motivations were for not just letting them go.
Well, I mean, most of them didn't want to go anywhere.
It could be that we didn't trust that they were going to go and stay there. It could be that we thought that, they're just going to be a problem at some later point in time, so they wanted to have them in a place where they could be controlled. I honestly don't know. It might also be as cruel as they know that force marching them to a reservation is going to kill most of them.
Oh.
So that could be the reason as well.
Okay.
But so that's one thing.
One possibility.
One possibility was that that Custer's job was to get these Native Americans to go to a reservation.
Okay.
Another possibility is that yes, they were looking for Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse and maybe some other known renegades at the time to arrest them, or more likely to just execute them on the spot.
Why were
those
they
men were considered
enemies?
criminals or terrorists of the time?
Okay.
So yeah, terrorist is a person that uses violence to get their way, and in the eyes of the Americans of this time period, any Native American who fights back is a terrorist.
Got it. Okay.
And to be fair, they legally meet the definition of it.
Right.
They used terror tactics. So this is one of those cases where there's that interesting argument. Terrorist tactics have proven to be effective, but there's often that argument in justification or not justification based on whose side you're on.
Well, yeah, and the winner, if you lose, then it wasn't justified. If you win, then it was justified.
So to use an example, Crazy Horse rides into a village full of settlers that have no weapons and kills all the women and the children and any of the men who are
did
still
he do that? Was he doing that kind
I'm sorry,
of thing?
I'm giving an example. Crazy Horse did kill Americans.
Okay.
I do not know every occasion on which he killed Americans, what the situation was. But so saying as a worst case example, let's say that Crazy Horse did ride in on a bunch of unarmed women and children and killed them all. Bad dude. That is a terrorist activity.
Yeah.
But hardly compares to many, many, many American armies doing the exact same thing to Native American tribes up and down the country for hundreds of years. Right. So both parties are guilty of being terrorists in this war between the Americans and the Native Americans.
Right, because it wasn't being treated like a war. Like, we hadn't declared war on the tribes, right?
No, because if I remember correctly, there was never any official declaration of war on these tribes, or even the tribes officially declaring war on the United States. It was just kind of like... It's a terrible example to say, but I think this is absolutely comparable. It was a case of, there's ants on that piece of land we want. Let's just smash them. And we're going to feel just as guilty about it as if we would if we had destroyed an ant hill that was in our garden.
Right. Was there a third possibility? You said that you weren't sure. Maybe he was there to move them, or to
move them,
get
or to
Crazy Horse,
or his orders might have been to exterminate them. I don't think that was the case, or at
he
least
wasn't there
officially
to
that
slaughter.
Wasn't the case.
You don't think he was there to slaughter?
I don't think that was that. I do not think that was his reason.
Okay.
It might have been his orders, but I doubt that.
Okay. And
I'm more inclined to believe that it was the first example I gave, that his orders were probably to force them to a reservation.
Yeah. But so given that why did he get the reputation of being friendly to
Well,
the
he got his
Native
reputation of being
Americans?
friendly before
Before all this.
Little Bighorn. And again, I don't remember all the details. It might be that maybe he wasn't actually that nice of a guy, but he was nicer than some of the other American military commanders
The bar is
the
low.
Native Americans had been dealing with. Yeah, think about it like if let's say that you're fighting in World War II and you've been taken prisoner. Would you rather that Hitler be the guy in charge of your punishment, or would you rather some lieutenant much further down the ranks be the guy in charge of your punishment? I'm willing to bet you like the lieutenant a little bit more than if Hitler gets to do with you.
I don't know. The devil you know versus the devil you don't is a thing too.
That is true, but there are some cases where I'm willing to bet people would rather choose that devil they didn't know rather than the devil they did.
Yeah.
And I think Hitler would be one of those cases. I dare say Stalin and Mao would be among those cases where you'll take your chances with the ones you don't know. I'm not saying that there weren't worse people. I mean, Pol Pot, he gives all of those guys a run for their money.
Well, and like Himmler, weren't all that terrible
I've said this often enough. So Hitler was obviously a whack job, crazy, evil man. But I think Himmler put him to shame as far as the lengths and the extremities and the psychoness that Himmler was willing to go.
Yeah. Okay. So what were there like any like big? Why does it matter? Why does the Battle of Little Bighorn matter? Did it like influence anything afterwards that's of note? Did this lead to better relations with the Native Americans, or worse, or a war, or?
Nope. To the best of my knowledge, they're the most historically significant thing to come out of the Battle of Little Bighorn was that Custer was killed. Otherwise, it was just another battle out there in the plains, far from any American settlements, pieces of ground that probably nobody would have known the name of if Custer hadn't died there. And it was one battle lost by the Americans in what was ultimately, virtually, I should say, a one-sided, was never going to end any other way war. If Custer had won that battle, then nothing would have changed. I mean, there would have been less Native Americans to live on afterwards. But the fact that the Native Americans won that battle, it bought a lot of them a little bit more time. But in the end, the Americans win this undeclared war against the Native Americans. That's undeniable.
Right. We lost the Battle of Little Bighorn, but...
We lost. There
are plenty of other. I don't like saying
"we" in that category.
Yeah,
the Americans lost that battle, but the Americans won that war.
Right. This is completely random, but I don't know how to bring it up any other way. So when I was in, I don't know, middle school or something, my mom, she has a talent for finding the weirdest things. I don't know where she found this. My mom found a Custer G.I. Joe. Like one of the big ones.
Okay.
So like the Barbie doll size G.I. Joes. And it was Custer.
Okay.
And I think he had red hair and it was very unique. And my mom didn't get it because it was like, yay, Custer's my personal hero. It was like, she just loves finding unique things like that. And it was exciting to have an army man to go with my Barbies. It wasn't for my brother. She gave it to me.
Okay.
It's like... She didn't like Barbies being single. She wanted me to play out family, make-believe stuff. So like, I needed more Kens. Well, I needed more Kens. And this was a...
Well, I'd say good on your mother then, yes, because a woman should have more choices than just one stereotypical male.
Yeah, I mean, Barbie can marry a Civil War soldier. Why not? But like, I remember not knowing how to feel about it at the time.
Suddenly I'm wondering if there is a Civil War Barbie. Continue.
I mean, there probably is. I would imagine in one of the like collectible, one of the Barbies that you don't play with, you just put on a shelf. I'm sure there's like one from, what's that movie? Gone with the Wind. $10 says there's a Gone with the Wind dress.
I was thinking specifically of the soldier, so not like a Civil War era
no, I was thinking
a ball gown or something.
Yeah, I was thinking Barbie. No,
but anyway, you were saying.
Anyways, I remember at the time, and I don't know if this is because something that my mom said or because something that I heard in school, but maybe I was younger than middle school. I remember being very conflicted. Like, wait, isn't Custer a bad guy? So should I not call him Custer? Should I just call him a soldier? Like, I remember feeling very weird. Like, is Custer a good guy? Is it okay for me to play with him and treat him as a hero?
Like a lot of things for good and bad, it's
Mm-hmm.
entirely in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
So as far as the bad, yeah, we could say bad because he killed a lot of Indians. Killed a lot of Indians.
Yeah.
But on the good, we could say him, but he was a American military hero, an American war hero. This would put him in like the same category as Andy Jackson. The only difference,
Andy,
really,
you call him Andy. You're like on a first name basis with
Andrew
him.
Jackson. The only major difference one might say then is that Andrew Jackson had some became president, and Custer never lived for the opportunity to run for president.
Yeah.
But they were both famous military men who were also both famous for Indian fighters as well as fighting in other wars too. Andrew Jackson fought in the War of 1812. Custer fought in the Civil War.
Right. So, I mean, are you saying that like human beings are complicated?
Yes, human beings are very complicated. Well, human beings are very complicated, and nations, cultures are very complicated too.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've said this before, but
we had a whole episode about this.
Humans are very willing to be hypocrites when it suits them.
Yeah. Really.
The idea of the rules apply to thee but not to me is not a new concept. I mean, go back as far as you want to in history, and people have been practicing that.
True that. All right. Do you have anything else to share about Custer? If not, then we'll end there.
We can throw this funny little tidbit in
I love funny tidbits.
In case my mother is one of our audience members. So, I do not remember when this began.
Uh-oh.
And I can hear her laughing right now as I'm beginning to tell this story.
I don't know it's coming.
So, if you don't know about this, either you're going to remember this, or
I don't know.
If we kept this from you, that's going to be
I don't know
awkward.
What you're referring to.
So, at some point in my youth, I do not remember when, I was given a book about Custer. It was a small book. It was obviously meant for kids to read, like bigger than like a tiny little book for a little tiny kid.
Well, not one sentence per page with
correct.
A large
I'd say
picture.
It's like the thickness of like a Goosebumps book.
Got
so
it.
A decent read for a younger kid.
Got it.
And I do not remember why, but I had no interest in reading it, because back then I was not interested in history at all. Didn't care anything about it at all. Yeah. So I was not interested in reading it. I don't remember what I did with it, but some way, somehow, like I tried to get rid of it somehow. My mom found it, and then so I don't remember what the first instance was, so I might be jumping ahead with this. Somehow snuck it back into my room. Either she wrapped it up as a present for my birthday or for Christmas, or she just like put it underneath my clean laundry, or maybe even in my dirty laundry pile. Gosh. She somehow snuck it and hid it into my room. I eventually found it through one of the various means, and then went about a similar means to sneak it back into her room instead.
Oh my gosh.
And this became a running gag.
And then it's just a thing.
And it's just like, we're constantly, every once in a while, I'd find it, some way, somehow it made its way back to me. And I'd have to sneak it back to her somehow.
Oh my gosh.
I don't remember how long that ran, and to this day, I don't know where that book is. That might be somewhere in our house right now, and I just don't know about it. It might still be in my old room in their house, hidden around somewhere. Yeah. Maybe it's hidden somewhere in my mom's room, and she hasn't found it yet.
Oh my gosh. Did anyone ever read it?
I never did.
She probably wanted you to read it.
Even after I got interested in history, I never read it.
Was it supposed to be like, here, use your brain during the summer?
I don't remember, because I don't even remember who gave it to me or how it came to me in the first place.
Gosh.
Like, I don't even remember how this switching it back and forth, this sneaking it back and forth got started. I just remember that it was a long gag.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Well, we'll find out as soon as she listens to this episode. She'll
I'm thinking
have
if
to
she
tell
knows
us.
where it is, now I'm going to get it for the next Christmas or birthday present or something.
Absolutely.
If I find that you participate in this, if you are one of the people that somehow aided her into bringing that into this house, I will
be proud.
I will be disappointed.
Why?
I will do other things, but I can't admit to that online. I will not have this podcast be a witness at my trial, or witness against me at your murder trial. I mean, at my something trial.
Yeah, that's not suspicious
or a mysterious disappearance trial.
I just want you to know that I never helped those girls in college hide those stickers in your room.
I don't believe you.
So, I promise you, I never helped.
I don't believe you.
Okay, maybe
you
once.
will never be able to convince me. Aha!
No. Okay, so first of all, we have to let them in. Okay, so your friends, couple girls in college, they had...
You hear that, people? I had a couple of girlfriends in college.
They had a giant roll of princess stickers, and they put them literally everywhere in your room. Mm-hmm. And here, 20 years later, almost 20 years later, we're still finding them. Mm-hmm. So I think the most recent one I heard was...
Didn't we find one stuffed in one of my ties just a couple months back?
No, it was like a year ago, right before we moved.
Okay.
It was in your tie. It was a tie that you never wear to church. So I think when you found that, I think I then hid it again. I don't remember where. I don't know where.
Evil succubus!
I don't...
Jezebel! Harlot!
But that was the only time I'd ever done that. I haven't hidden those stickers before. I haven't helped your mom hide the Custer book yet. But yeah. We'll see. No promises going forward. No promises. All right, we'll end there.
Who did that anyway? Was that Christy and Megan?
Was it Christy and Megan or Christy and Sarah?
Was Julie involved?
I don't know. I don't remember who all in the old gang helped
so
her.
I'm pretty sure Megan was one of the culprits, but yeah, I don't remember who the others were.
Okay, well, definitely
it was 2 or 3 culprits.
Well, definitely Christy. You think Megan?
Christy was involved. Okay.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was Christy's idea.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well,
I wonder if they listen.
Well, maybe this is the way to get them to listen.
By telling them that we mentioned the princess sticker
Just
debacle.
By the way, you want to know what we're saying about you. Maybe you should listen. All right, thank you for listening. If you liked what you heard, then please subscribe, tell your friends, and leave us a 5-star review.
If you'd like to hear a future episode with more information about today's topic, contact us on Gmail, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok at Married to History Pod.
Also, please contact us if you have a silly question idea or if there's something from history that you would love to learn about.
Just be sure to specify in your message if it's silly or serious, because we don't want to treat a genuine quest for knowledge as a joke. And if I find a single princess sticker anywhere...
What are you going to do?
I will think bad thoughts.
Okay. Talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.
You have to speak into the mic.
I'm sorry. Am I wandering away from the mic too much?
You kept going like this.
Okay.
You have to talk into the mic.
Am I not talking into the mic?
You get further.
I'm sorry that I keep getting further. Maybe a headset is what I need.
I don't know. Maybe we need to.
You should get me a headset for Christmas.
No.
No. All right. Well, anyway, so we're just right. All right. So